and welcome to this manufacturing management webinar in association with TANdelta. My name is Paul Fanning and I'm editor of manufacturing management, and here with me today is Chris Greenwood, CEO of TANdelta. Hello Chris, and
Hi, Paul.
I wonder if we could perhaps start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and about the company.
Sure, absolutely. So I've been with TANdelta since day one, and we basically span out of a condition-based monitoring business that specialized in the management and monitoring of large rotating assets using techniques such as vibration, ultrasound, thermography, but also traditional offline lab analysis. And I'm a software engineer by trade, and so I was working with that company looking at how we could get a lot of that data online. And it was really then when the sort of seed of an idea was formed, where we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could also get that oil analysis data in real time in the hands of the maintenance engineers and the operators in order that so they could apply some intelligent maintenance and monitoring. And so really from there, we set about developing the technology, which has culminated in us launching our G2 sensor product in 2020. And then more recently, we've now launched our MOT kit and Sense 2 product, which kind of take the sensor on to different markets and different opportunities for owners and operators of equipment.
Okay, we'll obviously talk in depth about that later on, but I wonder if you could tell us maybe how does TANdelta actually revolutionize oil condition monitoring and about the benefits it offers to industries in terms of cost savings and damage prevention?
Sure. So, I mean, the basis of everything that we do is our technology. And what that technology enables is it enables us to offer three main benefits to our customers. So the first main benefit is that we are able to get our customers to move to a condition-based maintenance regime rather than a time-based maintenance regime. The second benefit is, as well as giving them that extension in time in their maintenance regimes, we're also able to identify failure modes and issues that can occur between those points. So, you know, if you are within a time-based regime, you will go and do the maintenance, and then you will schedule that maintenance maybe for 3, 6, 9 months after that event. Obviously, between that time, a lot of things can happen. So we're therefore enabling people to see that in real time and react to it. And then the third benefit we offer is that as part of that maintenance, you may well be doing oil changes, you might be doing oil top-ups, you might be doing oil sweetening, where you're maybe taking some of the old oil out and putting some new oil in, which is quite a common practice where people can extend the life of the oil. The sensor is able to give you an indication as to how successful those activities are. So really, for us, it's the combination of those three factors. So one is going from time-based to condition-based. Two is identifying issues that can happen during that period. And three is any activities that you undertake in terms of maintenance or intervention, we can tell you how effective that's been. And the kind of benefits that's giving to our customers in terms of the extension of oil life, it's a common known fact within industry that people are generally changing oil too early. You know, everyone's very conservative, the OEMs conservatives, the oil providers are wanting you to buy more oil. You as an owner operator, you don't want failures. So that's really pushing people to be quite, as I say, conservative about the timeframes in which they would do these maintenance schedules. What the sensor's telling is when they actually need to do it. And in general terms, we see a 30 to 50% extension in oil life. And what that means is in terms of, a standard application where you could be doing up to 15, 20 oil changes a year. All of a sudden you're doing 10 oil changes a year. So just purely in terms of the oil that you're consuming, you're seeing a massive reduction in cost. That's not including the additional uptime because you're not taking the asset out of use. And then when you combine that with the fact that during those periods where you're not maintaining the machine or the machine's just running, if there are any failure modes developing or there are any precursors to failure modes developing, then we can make you aware of it. And what that does in reality, Paul, is it buys you time. And that's the key. So rather than you having to react to a catastrophic failure, the sensor is giving you a minute by minute, hour by hour view in terms of how your assets are performing. And from that, you can then be much more intelligent about how you apply your maintenance to those assets to ensure that you get increased uptime and reduced downtime.
Thanks. I wonder if we could maybe move on to look at environmental benefits that are offered here. So, for instance, how can it help reduce companies' carbon footprint?
Sure. I mean, as I've sort of described earlier, the fact that we're able to get to the point where people are only changing oil when they need to, that means it avoids them having to purchase oil that wasn't necessary. And it also means they can avoid the cost of having to dispose the oil that they're changing.
Mm.
And the reality is, with a lot of our customers who, running a large number of assets, and some of those assets can be quite remote, quite difficult to get to, it's often the case that disposing of the old oil is just as expensive as putting in the new oil. So because we're always giving you that optimum time to change, then it means you are in a position where you can, dramatically affect, like you say, your ESG credentials and reduce your carbon footprint just in terms of the amount of oil wastage or the disposal of the oil. And unlike a lot of ESG initiatives that are in the market at the moment, the benefits that we offer are real. It's not some government scheme where you can maybe get cash back, or you can maybe get money based on the fact that you're trying to be greener and you're trying to reduce your carbon footprint. For us, it's a very, very real saving, and it hits the bottom line. So it's something that we're very proud of, and we see it as a key cornerstone to what we do, is giving our customers that ability to, in essence, save the planet.
Absolutely. And you touched on these earlier, of course, but could you go into a bit more depth, maybe about TanDelta's offerings, such as the Sense 2 display and the mobile oil tester?
Yeah, absolutely. So historically, we designed a sensor, and then we designed an ecosystem and an infrastructure around that sensor, which allows us to make maximum use of the data that it produces, and offer the benefits that I described earlier. But in order to do that on a large fleet of equipment, then the installation, it's not difficult, but it's involved, and there's going to be, you're going to have to schedule vehicles coming in or assets being available in order for you to fit the equipment. And we recognized that there were other ways we could use our technology to give additional benefits. And so, in simple terms, Paul, what we really were looking for is something that was a little bit more commoditized, something that was easier to engage with. And so initially we sort of looked at the MOT kit, and the MOT kit is very much designed for maintenance engineers or maintenance teams, where they're already going out and looking at assets or managing and maintaining assets. And it gives them the ability to take an oil sample there and then, and to give them an indication as to how well that asset is performing. And so rather than, as they would do traditionally, take a sample, send it away, wait for the results, which inherently means you've got a double dip. So the engineer would go, he'd take the sample, he'd send it away. He's got to go back again if that sample comes back with any action that he needs to take. We very much target the MOT kit to that market, and that's across, whether that's a ship, whether that's a off highway, whether that's mining, whether it's agriculture. It's really sort of application and industry agnostic, because it's a very, very simple kit to use. The training for it, you'll be up and running within 5 minutes, and you'll be able to take a sample, get a result, understand what that result's telling you, because all the smarts is in our technology, and then, like I say, take any action required while you're still on site. And then in addition to that, the Sense 2, this is where you've got an asset that you want to be able to get that kind of oil analysis. You want to be able to get that insight into how the equipment's operating, but you want to have the data consumed locally. We're not going to the extent as we do with some other customers where we have telematic systems. We can, put that information over the internet, get it into portals, and you can consume that data anywhere in the world. This is where you've perhaps got a team of engineers on site, or you've got some operators on site, where we can give them a really quick and simple view of the data. And the key thing with the Sense 2 is that it's communicating via a traffic light system. So it's very, very obvious if you walk past the equipment and there's a green light on, well, there's nothing to see here, you can carry on. If, on the other hand, you see a flashing amber or a flashing red, the display then tells you what the particular event code is. It tells you what the issue is that piece of equipment is experiencing, and therefore you can react to it there and then. And also, when you're getting the green light that's telling you that the equipment's operating normally, we're also giving you an indication of time to next service. So we're constantly updating you. So again, the operator can walk past, immediately understand where that piece of equipment is in terms of its lifetime of oil, or in terms of how it's operating, and can react accordingly. And so both of those products are really aimed at being very, very simple to use. They're plug and play. You don't need to incorporate them into your existing infrastructure. You don't have to do any integration work. You can literally, pull the MOT kit out the back of your van and use it. Or with the Sense 2 kit, all you've got to do is, take out a drain plug or take out an inspection port, plug the sensor in, apply some power, and you're good to go. So again, they're just aimed at being really, really easy options for people to get the benefits of our technology.
Fantastic. Well, I wonder given that, if you could maybe offer us some specific use cases where these products have had a significant impact.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, one of the main areas that we operate is on engines. And the reason why that's a sort of key sort of application for us is that you've got relatively expensive oils because they've got a significant amount of additive. You've got relatively high volumes of oils, particularly on some of the larger engines that we operate on. Some of the engines we operate on will have a sump of 4,500 litres. So it's quite a significant investment in terms of the oil alone. And you're generally using that oil quite quickly because you've got the heat, you've got the byproducts of the combustion. So again, any kind of benefits you can offer within that space tends to be quite significant. And the payback period that you're looking at installing our type of equipment is usually measured in weeks and months, not in years, because the size of these assets and the amount of time and money they're spending on maintaining these assets, it's an obvious area for us to deploy our equipment. So whether that's a static power generation engine, whether that's on diesel, whether that's on gas, whether it's a marine propulsion engine, whether it's an engine on an off-highway vehicle, so mining, mineral processing. Often if we're putting our sensors onto off-highway vehicles, we would also be monitoring the hydraulics and the gearbox as well. So it's not that we can only solely look at that one engine application, but that is really one of the stronger areas. And it's also an area where we're already working with a number of OEMs that are fitting our sensor as a standard fit, because they recognize the value of the data that we produce. And what they're interested in is controlling the total cost of ownership of that asset. And obviously, with the capability that we offer them in terms of the extension of the oil life and optimizing the oil life. I mean, there are occasions where sometimes the oil life reduces because of fitting our sensor, but what you will always know is that you're doing it at the optimum point. So it's really, the big markets for us are power generation, mining, mineral processing, a lot of manufacturing, because there's a lot of diverse equipment within manufacturing. So that could be anything from food manufacturing to, plasterboard. Again, doesn't really matter to us. Anything that's large, has got oil in it, then we can monitor it.
Okay. And obviously, how can manufacturers best reach out to TANDelta?
Well, I mean, we're a UK-based company. We're a stable AIM-listed business, and they can obviously reach us through contacts on our website, either by email or phone. We're very open to anyone coming in and contacting us, and we pride ourselves in being very quick at reacting to any inquiries that we get. So yeah, we're open for business.
That's fantastic. With that, it really just remains for me to say thank you very much to Chris Greenwood, CEO of TANDelta, and thank you very much to everybody who's been viewing. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.